Thank you all so much for being here. As you were arriving, I started to get a little emotional. I can feel the beauty here and the devotion and the bond and the union that our souls already have, and from this life and from other times and spaces, I invite all parts of ourselves here and now. And through the breath of that arriving, I can feel my spirit adjusting to the vibration, my spirit adjusting to that frequency, and also my heart rejoicing. And hello, sister. Hello, sister. Hello, hello. Big hugs, big hugs across this quantum field. Welcome in, beloveds. My name is Eliza. This is a response to a calling. This is an open house for School of the 13th Gate. I just want to let you know how much I appreciate you all for coming. It kind of feels like, I don't know, short notice. I don't know, does anyone else feel that? I was like, all of a sudden, like, surprise. And this is happening. The magic has landed so powerfully. And here we are. So thank you for showing up and just coming to listen and participate and lend yourself here in this collective pulse in whatever way feels right for you. And just so you know, on my end, I'm happy to see you. There's absolutely no expectations, and may you receive what you're meant to receive today, and may you also lend what you're meant to lend today, tend what you're meant to tend today, because of course the field that we're creating right here and now, even though it isn't part of an official container, it's still alive. It's living, and I can feel that potency. Like, my womb is actually responding. There's some rhythm that I feel in my womb. And so if you all just want to take your time to really arrive, take a look around, even see who's here, wave to familiar faces. Take a look around in the Zoom room, take a look around in the quantum temple that we're all co-creating together right now. Take a seat, claim your place, beloved. And if you'd like to call in any of your guides or guardians or offer your own prayer of opening in this moment, I invite you to do so. I will do so in simple Song of Sophia fashion, just singing our invocation here. So if any of you would like to sing with me, please do. Mm-hmm. Ancient Rose Mother, be free, be free. Song of Sophia, inspire fluidity. Rooted in the womb, laid a flying tree. Living prayer of fertile divinity, divine fertility. Ooh. Ooh. I'm acknowledging here in this moment the testimony of each of the places from which we are arriving on the grid. Each and every one of us in a present place a place and a space. This is a location in the world, and it's also a location in the other world. A portal, a doorway, and access into the divine feminine, weaving into that primordial cauldron. So wherever you are tuning in from right now, place seems to be a very alive component of the School of the 13th Gate and the way that we're all coming together. So if you'd like to share, even speak aloud in your space or type in the chat the place that you are tuning in from right now. And I want to invite any supportive spirits, any spirits, ancestral, indigenous, any divine spirits that are just so celebrating with us in our meeting and in our journey, to join us from your place, from your time. Welcoming the Fae, our ancestors here into this space. Welcoming the dragons here into this space. Welcoming the bees, the honey hives here into this space. Welcoming the swans, the rose family, the hawthorns, the blackthorns, the rowan, the wild rose, the apples. Yay, Florida, Bali, South Carolina, Alabama, New Hampshire, welcoming Lady of the Lake. Absolutely, I really feel that today, Katie. I just arrived home. My home is in northern Michigan in the UP on a lake where I grew up. So I'm tuning in from the Amanita forests, the Lady of the Lake, the swans grace this lake often. Today I've been with the loons and the eagles. Boulder, Hawaii, Idaho, North Carolina, yay. Yeah, Upper Appalachia, Pennsylvania. So as all of this information is arriving, I just invite you to envision or to sense the way that the light is gridding this meeting here and now. So for me, I really like maps. I like to close my eyes. I like to go into my inner sight and just really locate each and every one of us as a light pillar. Locate each and every one of us as a frequency, as this pulsing light on a map, and just see how we're coming together here in the greater ley lines, and listening to the songs that connect us, and feeling the influences, the pulls, the magnetism, and just really honoring that and what's brought us all together today. So thank you. So the School of the 13th Gate, in Song of Sophia, the Mystery School, Living School of Divine Nature, we travel 1 through 13, so 13 pillars, 1 through 13, and we travel it like a spiral, over and over again. And then the more we travel it, the more they all merge together and become this one concurrent experience. And we have kind of like the beginning 13 passage, and then there's the next year, and that's another 13 passage. And then people have also traveled the version of a third year in the 13 passage. And we had a version as well of a 13 passage where we met at each agricultural ancestral holiday. So in every Celtic celebration on the Wheel of the Year, we met, and that was called Legacy Council of White, and that was in 2023. And there was a lot of medicine of the 13th gate in that offering, and that was in a time period where so many of us were coming together with very similar understanding that there's um, we aren't actually meant to travel that old mythos in the same sort of way that we had been. You know, so many of us were getting this information that, oh, we're birthing something new and we shouldn't be turning around and looking at the past as much as we have been for our information or our inspiration or our guidance. It's actually, oh, we're going to be turning sunwise. Turning sunwise was the message from the ancestors. Turning sunwise. And what that meant for us was turning towards the celebration and really doing a lot of rearranging in our system, in our magical architecture, in our psychological processing, um, to not participate in loops, to not participate in shadow processing, to not participate in so much psychology that many of us are really well trained in, and to really start to turn towards our magic in like a much more trustworthy way. So taking some magical ideas and actually really bringing them into the body. And that was 2023. And I feel that this offering school of the 13th gate is a child in a way of legacy. Um, it wasn't a child I was necessarily anticipating, but I can definitely see how some seeds that were planted during legacy and that have been planted, um, yeah, really since putting legacy into practice, that offering has brought Song of Sophia to where we are today. And really, the offering that we can feel in our own unique ways, and also all together as a collective here, as a divine feminine collective, we can really feel that offering from God, from Christ Sophia, from the intimacy, from the sacred union, from the celebration, calling us into this next passage. So I'd like to, at this point in time, just recognize some of the sisters that are also feeling called to hold the journey of the school of the 13th gate with me. These are all Song of Sophia sisters that have been journeying in ceremony and diet and training and Sophianic wave training, spending so much of their time and their devotion and their love and their energy at the Mermaid Temple at my home, and also in various places around the world. We have Cherstaria here. We have Carrie Poe. We have Alexa, and we have Audrey. And so this is the core group of sisters that as this school was coming together, and we didn't even know it was coming together yet, all arrived with their own inspirations and just kind of whispering, okay, I'm ready. I feel it. I know it's coming and I'm here. I just want to let you know I'm here and I'm ready. And also offering different connections and inspirations and networking and medicine and support that has brought us here. So if anybody would like to share a little bit about themselves, share Star Carrie Poe, Alexa, Audrey, and if you'd like to share also just medicine of the 13th gate, I think it would be a great place to start.
I can share a little bit. I don't quite know what's going to come through, but I do know that the 13th gate is incredibly powerful. I'm Star, by the way. Hi, I'm Star, and I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to see everybody and so many familiar faces and beautiful sisters and such magic and medicine here in this circle. It's so powerful, and I am just thrilled to be here sitting at the table with you. I had a very real experience of the 13th gate a few years back after a really intense death process in which I basically said, this might kill me, and okay. I'll die trying, you know, I'll do it. I'll die trying. And I give myself to it. And when I committed to that, I passed through a threshold that was undeniable. And it was suddenly like a whole new set of rules and magic. Actually, like I was looking around for the old rules and I was mystified. I was like, none of this applies here. And that was cognitively a little bit challenging for me to release and let go of, almost like a balloon in the air. And it was this attunement of celebration that's like, oh. And there was like a little poem that dropped in at that time that the first line is, meanwhile, there's a party going on, you know? And I haven't fully written that rest of that poem yet, but there's a party going on. And I'm here for the party for sure. Um, and still, you know, there's so much transformation happening, of course, but at the same time, it is holding this celebration and this kind of letting go of these balloons and like, oh my gosh, that explosion over there also is a firework, you know? So, um, it's been magical. It's been a whole new level of magic. And um, I just love the 13th gate so much. And I love that Bridget is here so strongly and so woven into what the 13th gate actually is. Um, and I could talk about this for a long time. So, and I probably will at some point in this whole experience, but I will begin to close and just say that Bridget holds so much space and capacity is so large that she is present within all of these gates. And her culmination is this. So she touches every part. There's like nowhere that she is doesn't exist in this passage. And that's why I love her so much. You know, like when I call upon my guides, Bridget is among the very first. So just so delighted, you know, to be here. Yeah.
Thank you, Cherstaria. Yeah, you just reminded me of something. Um, the other day, Audrey was on the phone with me and Pat, and Pat mentioned one of the thresholds that Bridget had midwifed before, a 13th gate threshold that she midwifed before. And when you said that, oh, that bomb could also be a firework, I could hear her speaking in that. And she said, when our Fae temples, like our Fae homes, when the Shining Ones were, um, yeah, disbanded, and there was a separation amongst the children of Lear, and the Fae families separated. What looked like um, a bomb was a firework. That was a 13th gate threshold moment. And we're now currently in this modern time in another 13th gate threshold moment. Um, so Patrick said he was he remembers his soul. He's walked this walk before with Bridget, and he remembers delivering the Bridgets, meaning like me and you and any of us on the call, the Bridgets from the Druidic Fae timelines into the churches through safe passage for their magic to continue. And so for the Magdalene magic to transfer from the forest and then into the church and for it to stay alive. And Patrick was saying, yeah, even though I was cutting down the trees, I was making these deer paths, right? I was making these passageways for the feminine magic in the midwifery and for all of you to continue to practice, but amongst a safe place such as a church or a nunnery. And so while you know, there were bombs going off in the in the Fey temples of light and in the forests and the trees were being cut down. There were also fireworks happening, meaning that magic was laying its primordial architecture of Christ Sophia, of Natura Sophia, into these churches in a way where that flame, that perpetual flame, that eternal flame could never go out. And so that's a mirror of a 13th gate threshold moment in society that's also occurring right now. So we don't know what the mythos is now. But what we do know is what the 13th gate says and what Bridget is saying and what these guides are saying in our heart. All of us here have talked to you, so many of you about this, is that this is something brand new. We don't know what the mythos looks like now, but it is something similar to, what it looked like when the forests were burnt down and we had to go into a church. We don't know what it looks like now, but here we are at these 13th gate thresholds, writing these grids, preparing these grids for our magic to transfer, right? And for this alchemy to continue. Yeah. So thank you for sharing, Share Star, and bringing that spark forward and that inspiration. And yeah, I can't wait to hear from who's next.
Hi, I'm Carrie Poe. Um, and I just really felt a spark from what Eliza was just speaking to about how we don't know what it's going to look like, but we're like laying the groundwork even as we don't know. Um, I'm in northern Michigan and I've been in a process of building my medicine space, building my community space this summer. And wow, it's just been so touching to see the support that's come from my family. This is a very simple space. It's a yurt with an outhouse. But to me, it's this amazing treasure because it feels like in my family, as I began working with Bridget, there was, and just in Song of Sophia, there was misunderstanding. There was maybe even like some suspicion. I don't know, not full support. But as I have continued to just like be in my embodiment and deepen into my practices and serve in all the ways that I've been able to serve so far, I can see Bridget's torch lighting up all my beloveds around me, my mom, my aunties, my dad. Yeah, and there's this way in which I see this, like this outhouse, for instance, that my dad built with me, my daughter built with me, my mom designed it. This is like this sacred temple because it has been created by the hands of my beloved, by the hands of my community. And what's come through really strongly for me in this summer has been the simplicity of Bridget's flame for me. The the profound simplicity of simple coming together to create something simple that is so magnificent. Because it's created like in this pure out of love, I guess. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's fully coming through the way that I was feeling it, but yeah, just the way that I have begun to treasure what my family can create for me, what my beloveds can create for me, what I create with them, even if it's something very simple and humble. And I love that we're gathering here at Lunasa. It feels so perfect to be at the first fruits, at this point of examination and kind of clarification of what those first fruits are this season for me. Really looking at them, seeing what they are, and as we look ahead to the start of this year, which is like November 11th or thereabouts, I think, we'll beginning to dream together in the darkness. And then at the pilgrimage, when we go to pilgrimage at Imbolc, we'll be planting our first seeds. We'll be conceiving together. So it feels really potent to be here, examining my fruits, the first fruits of this light half of the year, and kind of seeing like, is this exactly what I wanted? Um, yeah, I'm excited to go into the dreaming with you all, is what I'm saying. Because I feel like that kind of a start, going into the dreaming together and then conceiving together at Imbolc is going to be so powerful. And I see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of women I've journeyed with before, a lot of women I've examined first fruits with before. And I think a lot of us kind of know and are cycling through these rhythms now with so much clarity. And yeah, just really, I feel a lot of potency around that cycling. Excited to be with you all.
Thank you so much for speaking to, yeah, just the simplicity, that Master Builder 22 Codex that we're really journeying with. So we were speaking earlier that School of the 13th Gate, for those of you that are familiar with the mystery school pillars and Song of Sophia, um, the 13th gate is really 11, intimacy, 12, sacred union, and 13, which overall moves into celebration. And Carrie Poe, I really heard you just journeying through all those as you told us the story of your temple being built with your family. And, what you're building is an outhouse of legacy. It's a very simple structure, like you were saying, but there's legacy built into the bones of that structure. And I really love that story because it's what we've done here too. And just brought tears to my eyes. And that's really part of the prayer for School of the 13th Gate, is that each and every one of us can feel a part of that, feel a part of this, um, and really receive receive the benefit it is to take a seat at a table in our creative authority, and uh, yeah, in a family, in a family architecture. And thank you for that beautiful story. Thank you for being here. Yeah. Oh, and also when you're talking about us planting our seeds in Ireland and Imbolc, like sincerely, like, wow, tears. I just got like a taste of what we're doing. Yeah. Thank you for a window into that. Yeah. Mhm.
Hey everyone, I'm Alexa. Excuse the roosters, I'm here in Bali and they love to sing their songs, so hopefully you can hear me. I'm really, really, really honored and excited to be a part of this. I'll be doing mostly the ceremonial medicine retreat of our journey in Ireland, and it's such a beautiful aspect of the celebration because I was just journeying with the Song of Sophia school with the last run, and a lot of my sisters here who are on the call were also weaving with me, so I feel really honored to share the medicine. And this way, as we've been sharing the past couple of years together, and I was in Ireland, I went this last January and also last July while we were in the school, and it's so beautiful because I feel like a lot of the seeds that I was planting there on the land, it's fruiting for me now as my prayers were. I really saw the school and I saw Eliza and all of us being there and really weaving the magic that we were planting then. And here it is. I feel like we're bringing in that piece and that part that Bridget was midwifing for me. And I was showing up to Ireland and I didn't even know why, because there was parts of me that didn't really feel connected to that land until I was asked to show up multiple times by a lot of my Irish family and the elders there that are holding this beautiful retreat center. And I feel really, really, really so honored to kind of weave and merge these lines with Song of Sophia, as we've all been doing with Bridget. So I feel really resonant too with Cherstaria and Carrie Poe of like, I don't really know what this looks like, but I'm just showing up and being in service to the emerald green medicine that we're building, and then my personal piece, my personal microcosm of, I feel I'm still very much working with the 13th pillar myself of integration, and from this past wave of Song of Sophia and the school, and I'm moving with my own medicines and traveling to different lands with my beloved and doing our ceremonial work, and just weaving between um, the discipline of the diet realms, but also the celebration of all that has occurred. And just my prayer for this year, as today is my birthday, is to really anchor in that celebration, and not needing to know what that looks like, but to really just be in the joy of all that's already happened, and trusting this medicine and trusting the authenticity of how I'm showing up in this medicine. So I'm really, really, really honored and grateful. And I really feel the power and the strength in all of us just here in the present moment. So cheers.
Cheers. Alexa's birthday's 8/8. It's over in Bali. Happy, happy, happy birthday, sister. Oh, thank you so much for speaking to just the integrative. I mean, it's just innate within the 13th pillar medicine and the 13th gate, that innate integration piece. I mean, 13th gate translates to celebration, and ultimately what that is a massive integration of 1 through 12 and all the times we have taken that spiral. So yeah, thank you so much for speaking to that. And I just want to recognize um, that the School of the 13th Gate is absolutely a school of integration. So it's taking all of these parts and bringing it into union and then passing through a threshold into something new, to put it simply. And that threshold piece where we'll continue to talk about some more. But thank you for speaking to that, Alexa. And so looking forward to merging the medicines of ayahuasca, of Peru, of part of our spiritual lineage, with our blood lineage and our cultural lineage in Ireland. Of course, with our medicines there, and the medicines, the magical medicines that grow on that land. And like when you said you didn't really feel a connection, you didn't really know why you were being called, I think that Ireland can do that. I think Ireland can do that. And one thing I want to speak about regarding Ireland is that she's similar to the Pleiades, if this makes sense. She's similar to the Pleiades and to the Seven Sisters in a way where all of us that are part of the Shining Ones, all of us that are part of the Fae family that did make our way as a nomadic Lemurian into the European cauldron, we passed through. There's so much family medicine and legacy, and it's a hub. Just like Delphi in Greece is a hub, Ireland is a hub. Just like Sedona and Shasta and Boulder, in these different places in the US are hubs. Ireland's is a hub. So just like the Pleiades is a hub, right? I call it like the Great Cosmic Bus Station. We all make our way through. It's a portal, right? It's a hub. So Cygnus Right, Cygnus, the star portal of the children of Lear, of the shining ones, that connects directly to Ireland. So many of us actually have this codex that is just waiting to be reminded. And from the place of Ireland, even if we don't have direct blood ancestry, even if we don't have direct cultural heritage or a tie, there, like a direct tie, there's this part of our nomadic Lemurian Fey soul that has passed through this doorway. And we all continue to meet in these pillar places. So thank you for speaking that, Alexa. Okay. Audrey.
Hello. Oh, it's good to be here.
Mm.
Yeah, so many familiar faces and new faces. And yeah, just like really feeling the vitality of this womb web and how alive each of our unique sparks, each of our unique flames is. Um, it's really, it's really filling me up right now. So yeah, the medicine of the 13th gate. um, for me, what's most alive right now is primarily the paradox and just the speechlessness of that, the nature of that, and how divine that sort of like silence is, where like everything, like the polarities collide in this like um honestly terrifying way, like truly utterly terrifying for our egoic mind, for our attachment to what we are creating in the 1 through 12, in the pillars of 1 through 12, which is beautiful. Like our creations in those pillars and in those cycles are so beautiful. And I think for me, that's the layer of alchemy that I'm processing in my present meeting at the threshold of the 13th gate, is like, yeah, the depth of attachment to the beauty of the self, and like the paradox of how uniquely precious that is, and also how meaningless it is. And so I'm remembering all of the times that I have met this threshold of the 13th gate and literally been brought to my knees because of how terrifying it is to actually know the like eternal beauty of my own soul and of creation. And that has been working really deep medicine on me for my whole life. Because I've definitely knocked a few times on heaven's door. And it's a it's a really it takes like a very particular coherence, I'm learning, to cross that threshold and die, and also like not die, right? That's the paradox. It's like the death that is also rebirth. And how can we trust that? How can we be so willing to surrender to something? Yeah, how I feel it is like something moving through me, and the true merging of ego will with divine will, and becoming a true instrument for divine creation. And really what that is like the divine inspiration of my own soul. And that is Bridget's medicine, in such a big way for me is like that spark of inspiration, that awen, that descending dove that we can make a home for in our wombs and in our hearts, and allow to guide us. And I'm really feeling the the synarchy of what my soul is longing to create. Like, I can't actually do this alone, and I don't know really if we can ever do it alone, but there's something about this particular grid that I feel we are constellating where it's like we really do need each other. Like, and we need each other to show up with our own unique inspiration for not like it's hard to even talk about, right? Like, how do we create like that? Like, it hasn't really been done before. At least I can't recall in my memory. Maybe in primordial Lemuria this was the fluid creation magic that we were weaving together, but that's what I'm feeling is the medicine arriving for me in this school of the 13th gate. And what I'm courting is this creation, this synarchy of co-creation with each and every womb that's called to know this codex.
Yeah, thank you, love. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, there's something really potent in the 13th gate that returns us to that primordial moment of conception. And in returning to that primordial moment of conception, we recognize, oh, we were all born in paradox. None of this would be here without the paradox, right? And in Song of Sophia, we practice paradox in August, actually. We practice paradox right now with the Lion's Gate and with Yarrow, and it's our paradox and mystery pillar. It's our 8th gate. And we always say that we practice it before it really comes forward, so then we can have some sort of understanding. But usually just the practice in and of itself brings people into that relationship with Inanna, and that relationship with the descent from heaven. And what that relationship really initiates is our process, each and every one of us moving into that primordial wound. And for me, from a primordial Sophia perspective, that primordial wound, that original wound is, can I trust you, God? God, are you even real? I can trust everything about God, and I actually trust nothing at all. And so this is part of this maturation process, all of us, as we're moving through that threshold into being a sovereign being, and that threshold of sovereignty, that threshold of true legacy, and all of us showing up in our own authenticity and personal respect of self, with our own individuation, and coming into that union, which is what we're talking about here in this legacy. That aspect of that is, oh, there's no more savior. I'm alone, but I'm never alone. Like Audrey was talking about, I'm alone. I can only do this alone, actually, but I'm actually also never alone. I can only do this with God, and no, actually, God is me. There's no other separation, and there's no more savior. There's no one here that can save me, that can help me. When I pray to Christ, I'm not praying to anything above me. I'm actually praying to myself. I'm not calling on this higher, 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 higher. It's actually just here. So there's a lot of thresholds of coming to terms with all of our power being right here, and not in any of these towers that we've prayed within, or these steeples that we've prayed within, or these upper dimensions that we've really looked to hold us and process for us in our processes. The 13th gate is passing through that threshold where it's the same place we were born, in that paradox, in that 100% divine, 100% human place, and really seeing, oh, all of this is God. And even though we can understand that intellectually, moving into that place of embodiment is what returns our magic to us. So the 13th gate is a lot of people here are talking about the death portal. I think, Audrey, you said rebirth. I think a couple of us said rebirth. It's the resurrection codex of the divine feminine. And so what's happening right now with the 13th gate, and part of the gridding that is really brand new, that Song of Sophia has been really bringing forward for like the entire Sophianic threshold here, is the final crucifixion. Like there's no more persecution, actually, on the other side of the 13th gate, meaning that our magic is restored. We actually, yeah, we're not actually going to do those loops again. You can only walk through the 13th gate once. So all the ways that we've played out that victim, persecutor, savior, that drama triangle, all the ways in which we played that out, and all the people that we played that out with, and all of those relationships that we play that out in, that can't come with us. So of course our relationships can transform. Like, it doesn't mean that we have to leave all these people behind, but at a certain point in the game, we usually think that, you know, that the only one that's going to be able to pass through this threshold is me and me alone. And then we recognize, oh, and this entire family is here with me. Oh, and there's an entire party happening, like Cheryl said, that there's a party going on. Yeah, the angels are rejoicing. There absolutely is. There's this constant song, this constant celebration, this constant hallelujah, this perpetual flame, this eternal flame and spark of inspiration that actually could never go out. And it's all of our birthrights, and here it is. So we're traveling through this threshold with the 13th gate. And the thing is no one can do it for you. And me personally, I've so many times I've grazed the gate of the 13th without passing through. So many times I've kind of journeyed with it and practiced it before it was actually my time to really fully walk through. And I think there's many different aspects of our life that can have a 13th gate moment. So we can have, each one of our personalities can have a 13th gate moment. All of our archetypes can have their own individual 13th gate moment. And then when all of it, all these parts and all these pieces actually make its way through, nobody knows. The thing is we could never control that, and we would never want to. It's just something that happens when the divine tapestry has woven itself, and we don't know when, where, how, why that will happen. It's spontaneous. It's just what happens when the light and the sound meets, and the perfect way that it does. And all of a sudden we are through that 13th gate, and there's actually nothing, nothing to turn around and look at. It's all clear, clear, done. I'm only looking forward. And so this is the codex that all of us together are bringing forward. I've lived this codex, so I'm speaking of it from personal experience. I'm speaking of it from wisdom, and I'm also speaking of it from the place that I'm currently walking. And the place that I'm currently walking is such a song line of being in benefit for all. Such a prayer of actually providing the sacred text of what this is, because I haven't read it before, and I haven't even read it in the Akash. It's something that Sophia gifts through the lived experience. So my prayer here is something to, as a mother, we want liberation for our children. We do, there's like, I can't feel a stronger song in my heart than that. So coming in to this container as matriarch, and also coming into this container and showing up with more responsibility than I've ever been comfortable holding. And what I mean by that is showing up in an identity of queen. There's been multiple mentors in my life, multiple elders in my life that are like, why are you not wearing your crown? Where's your crown? You know, and in all my studies with Inanna, I've taken these things off. I've put them down. I've buried them. I don't need them. But I am wearing the robe my teacher gifted me tonight, and I am putting on, you know, my crowns, my emerald jewels, and my diamonds, and I'm wearing them, and I'm actually showing up. And I'm not writing my book with a pen name, right? I'm going to use my real name. And these are parts of this process of responsibility, of maturity, of legacy, where it's like, actually, yeah, I am going to show up, and it is me. It's actually me looking for who has the information. I'm going to walk to the front of the room now. It's my turn now. And who knows, tomorrow it could be your turn. You know, we all take turns is the thing. And that's a really important part of legacy, is that we all take turns. And in the structure of this school, I want to make sure we have at least an hour every call time that we meet together for us all to take turns in opening our channel and putting our robes on and putting our crown on and being like, it's actually me with this medicine here, and allowing Bridget to spark us, you know, and really inviting the prayer to flow through us in that moment, whether it's a song or poetry or story or remembrance or calculations, math, mythos, you know, whatever it could be. May it be blessed, and may you put on your crown and understand that, yeah, sister, it could be you. It is you that has this next offering, that has this next part of the architecture, that has this next part of the codex. And whatever part of you is like, oh, no, that's not me, that would be speaking that way. Oh, no, I don't really have anything to offer in that way. This is the medicine here where it's like, may you never think that again. Sincerely, may like you be putting on your crown, may you be wearing your robes, and really taking the opportunity to let the divine speak through you, to flow through you, so we can build this architecture, Master Builder 22, and really have these temples of the divine feminine, of Sophia, of this lived wisdom all over the world, with a sign out front. You know, that's the vision here. There's a sign out front, not temples that don't have signs, right? Not all of these places in the world that are doing divine feminine magic that you don't know what it is, if you know, because there's no sign. I'm talking about places with the sign out front. Women wearing women wearing their crowns, and not women wearing their costumes. You know, women wearing their crowns. I think it's quite different. So that's part of the prayer that I'm holding for this container. And also, I just want to let you all know I'm going to bring the magic. So, you know, sometimes in different containers, I I bring different layers and different levels, and just really try to integrate the 1 through 12. In the school, the 13th gate, I'm just gonna bring the magic. So I'm excited about that. That feels quite liberating for me. And there's like a part of me that's like, y'all ain't seen nothing yet. You know, there's like so much magic that's available, and that like wants to be seen, that wants to be danced with, you know, that isn't ashamed of who it is. And yeah, may we all light that flame within ourselves. Yeah. Yeah, no more hiding. Absolutely. Yeah. I would love to hear from all of you. Um, And just for now, I'd like to keep it in the chat. And then if we need to know anything more, I'll ask people to unmute. But just for like timing purposes and things like that. So if you have anything you want to share in the chat or any questions, I know there might be questions about structure, about finances, about how does this actually look? What can I actually participate in? How do I write it down? How do I plan for it? And so we can talk a little bit about that. But I really just want to hear from you and also hear like, hey, this is part of my magical path, and this is something that I want to bring to the table, or this is part of my 13th gate. Can we put this in the cauldron? Can we pray with this together? And just kind of hear and see what's alive. So feel free to share in the chat. Hmm. And if Carrie or Cherstaria or Audrey or Alexa want to unmute and share anything, feel free at any point in time.
I have just a little something to say that came up in a conversation that Eliza and I were having the other day, which is, the planetary movements of support and challenge that are occurring right now. We are in a Chiron retrograde in Aries, and it came to me as I was tuning into that and the medicine of Bridget. This is a time when we actually really are going down and through. And so when Eliza was speaking to the Inanna and descent journey and the 13th gate as a feminine resurrection codex, it's actually perfect timing because we are journeying back through not just, where our wounds are formed, but also where medicine uh, ends up coming out too. So as we journey back through this Chiron retrograde, Aries is the very first sign. It's the initiation. It is what makes anything, happen in the realms of astrology. And we're not super astrology heavy, but like, we see it and it's here and all of that. So what Bridget was bringing forward for me in this contemplation is just what a keeper of the forge she is. And so as we are traveling down and through these really hot places of foundation, what a master smither she is down there, and how she can, as she travels down through the forge and her fire is so hot, she is a keeper of both fire and water. And as the fire is so hot, it takes these wounds and is very alchemizing in that way. And then when she pours her waters over them, she heals in such a way that you can't even tell there was a wound there. It's entirely reconstructed in her forge and then rebirth through her well. And so I just wanted to bring that forward because if anyone is contemplating potentially joining for the kickoff, in November and the Bridgetine pilgrimage, this is an opportunity now to just notice kind of what's happening, what's being gathered up, your life experiences, and opportunity to also be held in container as we journey into some of those places that are naturally happening right now. And these planetary aspects occur through the beginning of January. And then we're going to go on pilgrimage. So it's just like kind of perfect timing for us to really court this magic that's happening right now and to court, to be in her court, of the depth of her magic. And then for us to all celebrate it together. So I'm just really excited about it. And I wanted to make sure that I spoke to it here tonight for anyone who follows this sort of thing.
Yay. Thank you, everybody. Is there anything else that Audrey or Carrie Poe or Alexa want to share before I speak to some admin things?
I would just quickly say I'm on a perimenopause journey, and I'm really at this threshold of there being no other elder but me a lot of the time, turning inward, finding myself, finding my spark, my Bridget spark within. And I'm really excited because I feel like this container is just going to support that and uplift that process so much of just turning to my inner elder, my inner crone. Something that I feel is on offer here that I wanted to speak to.
I'm grateful you're speaking to that and really bringing in the transition of the womb here and these rites of passage of the womb here that I know I'm experiencing, you're experiencing, Cherstar's experiencing, so many of us are experiencing. And it's also so very sweet that you two will be holding a more focused and concentrated container about that too while this is occurring. And yeah, so many women I know are either at the threshold of conception or like, oh, that was their final conception, no more babies now. Or yeah, moving from like a regular menstruation process into the beginnings of perimenopause and really allowing their womb to transform in so many ways. So thank you so much for speaking to the biology and the physiology of how this is really mirroring. This sort of transition is mirroring in the body. I appreciate that. Mhm. 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 Cool. So I'm understanding, Carrie and Cheryl, your container happens before November 11th.
It does. It starts September 14th,
Okay,
and we finish with retreat over Samhain.
cool.
Yeah.
So Carrie and Cheryl are doing a perimenopause focused experience, just if anybody's interested in that. Um, awesome. So then we'll head into November 11th. Beautiful. Yeah, so November 11th came through as the start date of our first class, but I will be opening and organizing the online portal before that. Something that I'd like for us all to look at if you're interested in joining is what these next months kind of look like for you before we officially take flight together on November 11th. For me personally, if you know me, I really like to start these things with a lot of space, because so many parts of ourselves arrive as these energies start to brew. And I've noticed that with this sort of depth of magic, that a few months out is important. And we usually schedule things in Song of Sophia around the Celtic calendar or around our ancestral agricultural holidays. So here we are at Lunasa, and Song of Sophia historically has an open house around this time of year whenever we have a new enrollment season. So I purposefully did not begin our next enrollment or our next classes at Samhain. I wanted to wait a couple of weeks after. I wanted us to have an opportunity to journey through Samhain in on our own respective ways and really allow those energies to inform us privately. before we all came together a couple of weeks later. And so we have now from Lunasa to Samhain before we really enter this Song of Sophia next enrollment portal. And so I'm just talking for now about the first wave, and the second wave I'll talk more about later, but just so you know, in case people are interested, it is a lot of in-person work at the Mermaid Temple. Some people are even moving to Boulder to do this work and to really deep dive into what's being provided. I don't have details for that yet, but it's ceremonial intensives and chorus work and ritual work and just in person more so training, especially for practitioners and full-time ceremonialists. And then there will be a third wave, but I'm not going to say anything more about that now because it's in the dreaming. So this is the next period of Song of Sophia. It's all School of the 13th Gate. It's wave 1, it's wave 2, it's wave 3. Wave 1 is like November through February. And what really felt important for this first wave is that anybody who feels like the energies in their life are aligning to what we're speaking about are able to participate in flexibility, are able to participate in spaciousness, financially able to get the support they need in their lives to join these calls in a way that really feels nourishing for them. Nourishment feels important, nutrition feels important, flexibility, fluidity, spaciousness, and also choice and activating your sovereign choice when committing to wave 1. And so the first way that felt important to do that was through finances. And that was the first part of medicine that Bridget brought forward for this. She's like, no one will be doing any sort of medicine in my name like this if they're without a sort of individual financial commitment that's coming from nowhere except their own heart. Okay, so to make that feasible for a group container, I have ideas of ranges of what people can offer financially that makes sense for just supporting the container in general and making sure that we can provide this while providing for our families and making sure we have what we need to hold this energy container. I know you all understand that. So I have ranges. Ranges for the online portion and then also ranges for the Imbolc Pilgrimage portion, because Alexa and I are working with another retreat center that prices way outside of Song of Sophia's usual space. We don't have ranges for that because we are accommodating a lot of other individuals that are supporting us to be there, and all these other things that we don't have any control over, essentially. So the pricing for the retreat is just a standard number, and it depends on if you have a private room or a shared room, but there's no range for the medicine retreat. It just is what it is. And then I also have a collective number. So if someone's like, I want to participate in every possible iteration of wave 1, meaning I want to do the online course, I definitely want to do the Imbolc Pilgrimage, and I want to have ayahuasca, emerald dragon medicine in the west coast of Ireland. I want to do all 3 of those things. I have a number that is like the first number you can pay and be able to pass in. But what I'm really inspired to share, and what Bridget is really inspired to share, is like, we have these numbers, and honestly, numbers mean something in the matrix, and in the soul world, not so much. So there's also an opportunity to lend your weaving, to be a part of the braid, like through just your soul, and your inspiration from your soul and things that can pop up for you in the moment. Meaning like, oh, I want to pay for this tank of gas. Here we go. Like, I'm going to pay for this tank of gas, or I'm going to do the dishes tonight, or I'm going to pay for this dinner out, for Eliza or Carrie or the group, or, like any sort of little tiny inspirations that come forward. as we're all together or as we're journeying through, or like you have an offering, in any way like that, like this is really truly what creates a lineage, and what is intimacy, and what is union, and what is celebration, and what is taking a seat at the table, and what is being provided for and also providing. We really understand that money is important. We all understand that at this point. And we also know that there's just so much more that creates a community. So, in as much as we can in Song of Sophia, we're not interested in like making it big off of each other. We're interested in making it big together, right? Not like making it big off of one another, but coming together and creating this pool of wealth. And that comes in so many different flavors, and really coming together and uplifting all of ourselves. So the prices that I have for this journey is the minimum amount that I've listed, really, that people can pay, and then for us to even make it happen. And then I really invite, and you don't have to know immediately. Of course, you do not have to know immediately in any way, but I really invite any sort of other inspiration, or maybe like, hey, I have this extra 100, I just want to send it in, or who knows. Okay. Just like leaving it up to leaving it up to spirit here. Um, yeah. So I came up with a number yesterday, for people that want to do every aspect of this journey, and they know they want to do it, and they are just going to pay for it, and they're going to pay in full. And it's like an early bird offer. It's for anybody on this call that's just really feeling committed. And then I can't offer that number to everybody because we wouldn't be able to pay for the trip. But, I just want to really make sure that there's like a doorway for somebody who like knows they're meant to be there. And so that number is 3990 USD. Yeah. So that would be the fullness of the online course, the medicine retreat, and the Bridget pilgrimage.